Evidently, weed-fed cattle with meat that tasted like dirt had a certain appeal after all. Over the next few weeks, half a dozen brave souls ventured out to our farm, most of them buying a 40-pound sampler we dubbed the Family Pack. This was a mixture of all our available cuts: ground beef, steaks, roasts. After a brief explanation, customers took the labeling fiasco in stride. The transactions were friendly and appreciative on both sides. Priced at $2.50 a pound, our average sale was right around $100. As customers passed me checks, I let them know that I was genuinely grateful for their business. My sister, with her reliable salary working as a nurse, had loaned me the money to pay Donnie's butchering fee. Now, not only was I able to pay her back, but I also had managed to put away some modest savings. These first sales provided tantalizing hints of economic sustainability. Just as gratifying as the actual transaction was the interest the customers expressed in what we were doing. They wanted to learn more about the farm and the way the animals were raised. Often they had a farming story of their own to share. At the end of the day, selling food that I had personally raised was far more satisfying than being a straw or firewood salesman. I even managed to squirrel away a pound of ground beef for myself when no one was looking. There were still dozens of kinks to work out, but finding a different butcher now topped the list. Our local farmers market started the following week, and even though I had half a steer left to sell, I doubted that it would last long. Going back to Donnie's shop was out of the question. If he was to be my only option, I was going to have a very short career. There was one phone number I had picked up along the way that I hadn't called. It was in an out-of-the-way town in north-central Maryland, a place I had never heard of. Still, they were USDA inspected, and that, in and of itself, was worth a phone call. "Shone's Meats, Harold Shone speaking. May I help you?" The man's voice sounded world-weary. It was a tone I was beginning to sense that butchers everywhere shared. My spiel was fairly well-rounded by now. I explained who I was, what I was about, and what I was after. I then held my breath, conditioned to expect rejection arriving in one form or another. "Let me make sure I understand you," Mr. Shone replied. "You want us to vacuum pack and freeze your meat, and it'll be available for resale." "That's right." "And you'll want your own label on it, not ours." "You got it." "You know," he said after a short pause, "no one's ever asked me this before. Can you hold on a minute? I need to ask the floor inspector a few questions." "Sure," I told him. I could hold on. I consoled myself that this was better than a flat-out no, but I was beginning to wonder, could we be the only farm out there trying to do this? The premise seemed basic. Raise our own animals, have them processed, sell the meat. It all seemed so natural, so intuitive, that I increasingly feared I might have overlooked some major stumbling block. Aside from the handful of speakers at the agricultural conferences, perhaps there really were no other farms marketing their food this way. As far as I knew, all the other farms in our area sold their cattle to the commodity market, the animals packed into freight cars and tractor-trailers, ending their days in a confinement feedlot. But the grain and concrete model had been such a resounding failure for us, it seemed impossible that we were the only farm opting out of the system. In my more idealistic moments, I imagined a small army of farmers like myself, a loosely connected tribe, each producing what we could reliably grow and each selling directly to our surrounding communities. Although we might not know one another personally, collectively we supplied food with a local provenance, a viable alternative to supermarket fare. It hardly seemed like an intellectual stretch. Perhaps it was all simply too difficult. Too many steps, too many challenges and obstacles. I had no way of knowing how many other farmers had previously attempted what I was now trying to do and had simply failed. If it were as easy as I imagined, wouldn't there be a meat vendor at every farmer's market? A few more moments passed and I could hear a low murmur of conversation above the buzz of the receiver. Eventually, Mr. Shone's voice emerged from the earpiece. "Mr. Pritchard? Yes, the inspector says that should be fine, but since we've never..."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.